where do I even start with this? I wake up this morning, as you wake up any morning, right? And I don't know about y'all, but it seems like every morning that we wake up nowadays, there is news that you just kind of have to ask yourself, is this real? Is what I am looking at real? Because immediately I wake up, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. My friend from the Netherlands is calling me. And he's like, dude, have you seen what is going on? And I'm like, bro, I don't keep up with anything. So like, and obviously, he's like, dude, you need to open Instagram and you need to go scroll like 5 reels and you're going to find what I'm talking about. Yes. Anyways, before I get into any of that, I do want to very quickly say that one of my collecting videos absolutely blew up. And I mean, I can't express, how awesome that is. Whenever I started this channel, I don't know, there were no expectations. I kind of just wanted to come on here and get my thoughts. And, if anyone, 1 or 2 viewers at all watched it, that'd be sick. Right. But, it's more of like an outlet for me. It's more of a hobby. And for the first time watchers, this is the first video that you're watching. Okay, the Spider-Man mask does not mean that everything that I'm going to be doing is about Spider-Man, right? I just want to get that out of the way. I, don't have another mask to wear, but I also, want to be on here. I want to be, I want to be here. I don't want to just be a blank screen showing nothing, but I also, I don't know, there is a part of it where, like, I do kind of want to, I don't know, not put my face out there for everyone to see, and there are a lot of reasons for that I don't really want to get into. Honestly, because none of them are important, right? It doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, again, it's a hobby, right? And I don't want, I don't want it to be just me. Like, I want someone to watch it and be like, that's Spider-Man talking, not, whoever. And that's kind of the idea if you're watching for the first time. Yeah. But anyways, again, all of you guys that watched that video, that subscribed, that's absolutely amazing. Whew. I mean, 600 views is absolutely crazy. I, started 3 weeks ago, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea I still don't know what I'm doing. I get on here every day, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do any of the editing mumbo jumbo or any of this stuff, and I don't know. I've kind of just been self-taught, and I'm getting through it, and it's been a lot of fun. But anyways, let's get into the meat of the video, right? And I don't think this is going to be a super long one, right? This is the TheSpideyFiles. I don't want to be the Nick Fluentous files, right? Where it's like all political and I don't want to have a fully political, content-centered channel. Absolutely not, because a little bit of background on me is I am educated politically. I, know to an extent the backings and the workings of things, right? But to the extent of keeping up in modern politics, I absolutely don't. I don't know what's going on. I will have friends send me stuff. I'll have whatever, and that is what it is, right? And and I get that there's a lot of you who are like, oh, well, Spider-Man, that's really negligent of you to not keep up and to not be aware of what's going on. And it's like, I don't want to say that I'm completely unaware of what's going on. I mean that to the extent that there are a lot of minute detail things that a lot of people know that I don't know because I don't pay attention. But anyways, to get that all out of the way, I am actually apolitical. I do not have a political label that I put onto myself. So I want to preface with all of this before I say any of this. And I want this to come across as, I don't know, because with political stuff, it's really hard because you can do whatever you want and you can say whatever you want to say to not try to do this or to do that. But either way, you're going to end up offending somebody or upsetting somebody. And that is absolutely not what this channel is about. If you watch my other videos, you know that I, really believe in positivity core. I believe in, the acceleration of the human race. I believe that we all need to come together and be loving, right? So anyways, all of that aside, explain to me why I got onto Instagram this morning to learn that Donald Trump got the Lewinsky special. Anyone want to explain that to me? Anyone want to explain why there are emails saying, basically implying that Donald Trump, to Bubba, which Bubba often most notably is Bill Clinton. What the? Dude, could you? No. Picture it. No. Picture it in your head. I want you to. Okay, so. Please, Spider-Man, get a grip. All right, we're good. I need you to picture that in your head real quick. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That's horrible. Guys, this is. I want to pretend that I'm surprised. I want to pretend that I'm shocked. Also, I want to say this too. There's a lot of you. You don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's real. Right? I believe that the U.S. government released these. And I personally am taking all of this with a grain of salt. But, dude, I will not lie to you whenever I say that, like, you know, once you actually get to, I don't know, get to a little bit of knowledge of some of the stuff that's actually going on behind the scenes, you start to ask yourself, how crazy would this crazy stuff? Let me reframe. Is there actually a limit to how crazy these people are? And the answer is absolutely no. Absolutely no. I mean, and this is just, not even the tip of the iceberg, right? This is like a part of the iceberg that has been gaining mass, right? It's really, really freaking cold around this iceberg, this Donald Trump iceberg, this, Republican iceberg, DC iceberg, liberal iceberg, all of it, the political sphere in totality. And all of it is so unreal. All of it is so unbelievable. And you have implications to Donald Trump, to all of these Democrats as well, with obviously Jeffrey Epstein. And you know what that means. I don't want to say a lot of these words on YouTube because I don't know what gets me banned and what doesn't. Right, but no, at a certain level, you have to ask yourself, what is going on? And this leads me into my next point. Right, because at the end of the day, if Donald Trump gave Bill Clinton a little something special, it's really an interesting outlook on all the stuff that he's said in terms of like his stance on LGBTQ and like all of this stuff. But anyways, that is beyond the point. Right, and I want to put my opinion out there. I am inclined to believe this. I am inclined to believe that this is real. I actually am inclined. I'm like 70-30 on this. I believe this is real. But that leads me into my next point. And actually, I believe that this point is maybe even more important than the Monica Lewinsky special. And what it entails is the idea that I feel like, and I know a lot of you can probably relate, that I feel like I've been politically guillotined. I am in Gen Z, right? I am in my early 20s, right? And I graduated college recently. And I'm looking at the market, I'm looking at the economy, and I'm asking myself, what is going on? No, because actually this is all awful. I'm asking myself, am I ever going to be able to afford a house? Am I ever going to be able to get a house? Or am I going to be getting a 60-year loan? Dead by the time I can pay it off, or a 15-year car mortgage. I don't know. All of this stuff is awful. All of this stuff is horrible. So I feel like I've been politically guillotined. I feel like I have nowhere to go. I can't go and support the left. And I also can't go and support the right. And let me be very clear. There were and then there was actually a point in time where, politically speaking, I've never voted. Okay, I want to be clear about that. But economically speaking, I was more aligned conservatively. I'll be honest about that. And that doesn't mean that it's still economically I'm not aligned with that. But let me say this very clearly. Whenever Donald Trump ran on the idea that he wanted to release the Epstein files, that was one of his bigger talking points, that he wanted to release the Epstein files. And then whenever a few months ago, I don't remember the exact date, right, he was like, oh, the Epstein files never even existed, even though he claimed just a few weeks to a month prior that they were literally sitting on a stack of papers on Pam Bondi's desk. What do you mean by that, Donald Trump? Well, I can't help but think that maybe he's like, oh, well, I'm so nervous because they're going to find out that I'm actually doing what, Trump? Well, we're finding out now. And, going back to the politically guillotined thing, it goes deeper than that because I myself, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. right? And I every day, I'm a sinner, but I really try to be the best person that I can be. I genuinely do, right? And I ask myself, who would I want to lead my country? And the answer to that is I would want somebody with Christ-like ideals to lead our country. And obviously, I don't know that that's ever existed. I don't know that it ever could exist. But I ask myself, do any of these people currently, in charge or have the option to be in charge or could have been in charge, like Kamala or Hillary, do they give off Christ-like, do they embody the idea and the spirit of Christ? And the answer obviously is no. And you guys can answer that before I do. The answer is obviously no. So obviously this is a confliction for me, but beyond that, it's like there are, and I will say this openly as a Christian, there are a lot of Christians right now turning a blind eye to a lot of stuff that is absolutely horrible, and I detest that. I denounce that. The idea of being a Christian, the idea of following Christ is that you are loving to everybody. Hey, you can't exclude anyone. Guess what? The Bible teaches us whatever you hate the most, other than, injustices and stuff like that, that is what you must love. The people that you are taught to hate, the people that you think that you are supposed to hate, those are the ones in which you should love according to the Bible. The Bible teaches us to love thy neighbor. Okay, we are not implementing that, but that's kind of getting derivative. It's kind of getting beyond the point. So getting back to again, it's like, what would it take to get somebody that is actually a good, decent person to run? Because, look, and I want to be very clear about this for any of y'all who don't understand. You may be up celebrating, you may be having a party, you're like, this is the end of Donald Trump. I mean, I honestly, I don't know. It could be, but what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is J.D. Vance, who is funded by, none other than Peter Thiel. Who's Peter Thiel, you might ask? He is the CEO of Palantir. What is Palantir? Well, actually, a little bit of fun facts with nerd facts. That is actually, I believe, either the device or the name of the device or whatever it is that is the Eye of Sauron, the evil eye-seeing eye, the evil all-seeing eye from the Lord of the Rings. Palantir. The evil all-seeing eye from Lord of the Rings. And look up a picture if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. It's like a big orange owl eye. Right, if you ever, but anyways, this guy's funded by Peter Thiel, right? And whenever Peter Thiel was interviewed and asked if he wants to see the succession of the human race, what did he say? I don't know. All right, Lex Luthor. I'm just kidding. Lex Luthor would actually probably have more spirit than that, because Lex Luthor wants humans to succeed, right? He wouldn't be doing this. So actually, Lex Luthor might be a hero in today's society. Anyways, it's just crazy for me to think about the paradigms that are going on right now, and it's truly remarkable. And again, for somebody who, I am into a lot of things, right? And I will admit that there was a point maybe 7 years ago that I was really into politics, but not anymore, and I haven't been for years and years and years. So obviously, there has to be some type of tipping point being reached, because again, I haven't voted. I know a lot of you guys maybe are in the same boat and you haven't voted, or maybe for the first time ever, you're like, I don't want to vote. In this upcoming election, I can't vote for any of these people. I can't vote for the left. I can't vote for the right. They're both evil. And that leads me to my third point, because if you don't believe that they're evil, then you have another issue with them. Okay, I'm going to be very selective about my wording, because I want to keep my YouTube channel. I have 48 subscribers right now, and I don't want to be deleted at that point. So I'm going to be very selective, but I think what's really fascinating is that bigger than the Epstein files, bigger than immigration, bigger than all of this, do you know what Donald Trump ran for? The idea of America first. I'm going to let that set in for about 10 seconds. The idea of America first. Let me ask you something. Does anything that you see going on right now resemble America first? I mean, I'm asking a question. Does it resemble America first? Does it resemble America first to see millions of homeless out on the streets suffering? It is about to be winter. And for the, 20-something year in my life, I'm about to watch American homeless suffer during winter. And I ask myself, Spider-Man, if there weren't billions, hundreds of billions of dollars being sent to foreign countries at this very moment, and for the past years, since like 2020, and not just one country, but multiple, but right now, it's really going to one country. There is billions and billions and hundreds of billions more worth of military equipment going to this country. And if you don't know what country I'm referring to, it starts with an I and ends with an L. That's what I'll give you. And there's no other way to put it that these people are evil to the extent that they are perpetuating a genocide. But I don't want to leave it just there, because there are multiple genocides going on in the world, right? And this is all evil, right? But how many of you guys know about that? How many of you guys know about what's going on in Sudan, Rwanda, any of these places, in Africa, where there are Christians, being murdered by potentially the millions? We're not getting accurate numbers, because there's no one there to take numbers. And if there are people there, they're probably dying. They're getting shot. They're dead. This is a really big problem. So obviously, Donald Trump ran on the idea of America first, and it has absolutely not been America first. And a lot of people my age especially, are waking up to this. We're asking the question, why? Gen Z has been the guinea pigs for almost everything, it feels like, in humanity. And right now, we're the guinea pigs for asking why. Whenever I was in middle school, elementary, high school, we were the guinea pigs for asking why, for instance, the dress code, right? That's one small drop in a rainstorm. But whenever we were in elementary or middle school or high school, and we were to question the dress code, and it actually were to be legitimate, and we got it changed, that was a embodying spirit of what we are overall. Right, so that is a small thing, but it embodies a singular raindrop within a rainstorm, and that rainstorm is coming down. And we're asking the question of why, and we're asking the question why because we are learning that almost everything that we have ever learned is probably a lie. And we ask ourselves, why is it probably a lie? Well, there's so many reasons for that. I mean, you could even, I'm not going to get into all of them, I'm going to get into one of them specifically, but Ghislaine Maxwell, her father, Lord Maxwell, is one of the co-writers of McGraw-Hill, the books that everyone is learning history on. Guys, Ghislaine Maxwell is married to one of the most prolific in all of human history. So you can assume that her dad is probably connected to that too. And if he's writing the history, what does that mean? Genuine question. Again, I'm not making this video to piss off anyone. I don't want to piss off anyone. I actually want to inspire questions. And if you watch this and you're like, Spider-Man, I adamantly disagree with everything that you just said, well, then I will say this. I want you to give me a reason why you disagree that does not suck. Because I'll tell you what, throughout my life, I've learned one thing. Whenever I have had, an opinion or a stance, and I believe that it's logical, I believe that it's just, and somebody tries to argue with me about that, often they go for the emotional route, and obviously, there are emotional arguments that can be strong. There are emotional arguments that can be stronger than logical arguments, but I don't even know where I'm going with this. It's just like, it's just the element of moving past all of that. I just want to skip that. I don't even want to do that. It's just moving past all of that. I want to be in a place where if I am going to come on here and make a political video, I want it to be about like a current event, right? And obviously I have my opinions on it, but I'm not getting on here to try to be, oh, well, I'm on this side and this is what I believe and only this and that works. And it's like, no, that's absolutely not what I am. And I don't want to claim to be, I don't want to ever be compared to or mentally or literally or anything compared to any of these people, these influencers that are, going out right now that are very adamantly one side or the other, which I think is perfectly fine because that's what they want to do. And this is what I want to do. So I respect that. Adamantly. Just want to put that out there. Whew. I don't know. It's just crazy, right? And I do actually really feel as if the political, I just dropped like 8 markers, sorry. I do feel as if the political guillotine is the most accurate expression to how I feel, because I feel like maybe there once was a point where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see where I'm getting politically, and then down with the knife, and then I'm sitting in this chair right now, I'm waking up in the morning, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's just I keep being forced to ask questions that I believe personally no other generation really in the past has asked before. And this is a lot. This is a lot to deal with, on top of the fact that we have one of the worst economies of all time, that everything is more expensive than it has ever been. Inflation is at an all-time high. Gen Z is at an all-time high for stress going into the future. Suicide rates are at an all-time high. Depression, anxiety, ADHD, all-time high. and it's really unfortunate, It's really unfortunate, because I believe in America first, and I don't mean that in any type of supremacy or any type of way, because for the extent that, like, if you live in the Netherlands, like my friend, I would want him to be like, Netherlands first. If you live in Brazil, I'd want you to say Brazil first. If you live in Sweden, Sweden first. If you live in Australia, Aussies first. Yeah, it's like, that's my country, America first. And I adamantly don't believe in sending billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to a foreign country to fund their war. Not even a war, a genocide, to fund their genocide. I don't want to do that whenever, I can go outside and I can drive 30 minutes and find 15 homeless people, and a lot of them are veterans. And we're not doing anything. Let me ask you a question. I don't know what the actual answer is, and I don't know what the actual amount would be. But imagine how many hundreds of billions of dollars we've sent overseas, and what maybe $100 billion alone could do, in terms of solving hunger, the hunger crisis in America, because if you aren't aware of this, there are a lot of kids right now who are starving. The only meals that they're getting are from school. That is absolutely abhorrent. That is not okay. And I'm not saying that our government needs to bend over backwards to take care of us, but they also shouldn't be sending hundreds of billions of dollars whenever you could allocate literally 1% of that amount of money anywhere, and it would be so helpful that they can't even imagine it. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Again, I'm kind of going to wrap it up here. This is kind of what I wanted to say. It's freaking crazy. And again, I'm not surprised. I think that I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. Right? I just think it's also interesting, and I try not to get, I used to not be really this huge believer in that everything was a conspiracy theory, but it's like, oh my gosh, you would really have to keep tunnel vision in today's state to really kind of stay to the script of where everything is going and where things have been, to the extent that, like, you're like, oh, everything is normal, everything is fine, there's nothing weird going on, and then we're not being lied to, oh, everything is fine. Yeah, I'm not really down with that. And actually, I don't think a lot of my generation is down with that anymore either. And these questions, that were why and this and that, and let me be very clear about this. Just like Obama said, let me be clear. No, I am nervous for the future of our country. I am incredibly nervous. If any of those emails are true, any of them at all, then, I mean, man, that is incredibly damning, and it's incredibly unfortunate. And honestly, it just, again, isn't surprising. And that just means that we, are being ran by diddlers, for lack of better words, which is awful. Again, I don't want to spend all my time making political videos, so I'm going to end it here. I do want to say I have been posting some shorts, and obviously these shorts include insects, right? All of these insects are mine. All of these videos that I'm going to post in my shorts are going to be mine. This is not regurgitated content. This isn't reused content. This isn't content I'm finding anywhere else. All of these videos are unique. You're not going to see them anywhere else in the world. You're going to see them from me alone. So be looking out for that. I think that I have a lot of awesome bug videos, so I really want to share them. I don't really have anywhere else that I want to put them, so I figured shorts would be the perfect place. Again, if you guys are in agreement, if you feel like you've been politically guillotined, any of these things, let me know down in the comments. Leave a like. If there's another topic you'd want me to discuss, let me know. Political, and I'll talk about it. I'll talk about anything. Obviously, my channel so far, I've been talking about figures, transformers, dreams, whatever, and I just want to talk about anything because that's just who I am. I think that I don't want to subjugate myself to anything, so I'll leave it with that. You guys have a great day. Try to be the best person that you can be, and throughout all of this craziness, just remember that God and the Bible teaches us to not worry, to put our worries and concerns into Him, right? And even though we have this stress, do not let it affect you to the extent that you are doubling over backwards and you can't move on without your day. Man, I love all of you guys, and I really hope that you have a good one. Peace out.